Third chapter of Unit 1 for FPGA programming is FPGA, that is Field Programmable Gate Arrays. Okay, and in this chapter we will include the circuit diagrams for reference that are from Xilinx. Okay, Xilinx is a company which provide the FPGAs. FPGA ICs are provided by hardware ICs are provided by the Xilinx company. Okay, one request is there. So let's start about the FPGA. First is objectives, what we will discuss in this chapter. So first of all, understand the internal architecture of FPGA. What is the internal architecture of FPGA? What are the different blocks which are responsible for functioning of the FPGAs and how these are connected? Gain knowledge of the technologies used for programming and connecting internal blocks and FPGAs. First, what are the different programming methodologies, how the programming of FPGAs is done. So basically it used static RAM technology and the anti-fuses. These two technologies are used to program the FPGAs. Then what is the connection of different internal blocks. Then third is learn the advantages and trade-offs of different architectures and technologies, because every company gives their own architectures. They give some specifications according to their architectures which are different from others. So what are their advantages and what are their trade-offs. Then learn the differences between CPLD and FPGA, because CPLD is also used to implement the complex functions. So what is the difference between CPLDs and FPGAs? So first is the FPGA architecture. What is the internal architecture of FPGA? So it consists of three different blocks. First is the logic block. Logic block, it is called the configurable logic block. Why configurable? Because it is used to it can be programmed again and again based on your logic. You can reprogram it again. You can configure it again. Okay, configuration is done by the users. Then we have the interconnection resources. Interconnection resources are used to make the connections of different logic blocks and the input output cells. What is the connection between input output cell to logic block, or there may be connection between one logic block to other logic block. Okay, so these all connections are also configurable and it is used for the interconnection purpose. Then third we have the IO cell. IO cell means to get the input and to give the output. Okay, so the peripheral consists of different pins. These are also programmable because by the programming of IO cell they define which pin will be used as input, which will be used as output, and which will be used as the bidirectional, that is for both purposes, input as well as output. So these are three basic blocks which are present in the FPGAs. First is the main logic block. Logic blocks are the main blocks who are responsible for the functionality of the device. Main functions are implemented within the logic blocks. Many logic blocks are there in FPGA. So a complex function can be divided in different logic blocks to implement the complex function. Then we have the interconnection resources. Interconnection resources means how to connect the different logic blocks and how to connect the IO cell to the logic blocks, how the signals will be transmitted. Okay, then we have the IO cell. So these are used to get the input or give the output. For theory, the architecture consists of configurable logic blocks, configurable input output blocks, and programmable interconnect to route signals between the logic blocks and input output blocks. Okay, so that I shown you. The architecture consists of three different blocks, okay, which are configurable and programmable, depends on your circuitry. Also there is clock circuitry for driving the clock signals to each flip-flop in each logic block. Okay, because in digital circuits clock is required for synchronization purpose. So in the case of FPGA as well, we have the clock circuitry. which is used to give the signal to every flip-flop which is present in different logic blocks. As in the case of CPLD, in CPLD we have clock drivers which are present in the input-output blocks. Then additional logic resources such as arithmetic logic units, memory, decoders may also be available. So these also devices are integrated with the FPGAs to increase their functionality. Okay, so increase their functionality and to provide more features. These other devices are also integrated with the FPGAs as well as CPLDs. The two most common types of programmable elements for an FPGA are static RAM and anti-fuses. Two technologies are used to program the FPGA. One is the static RAM and second is the anti-fuses. Anti-fuses is a type of permanent connection. We can program with the use of anti-fuses only once. We cannot program again and again using anti-fuses, because when we make a fuse, so it will become permanent. But with the use of static RAM, we can reprogram them any number of times. Anti-fuse technology is a cousin to the programmable fuses in EEPROM. It is similar to the fuses in the EEPROM, which are also one-time programmable. The important thing to note about the FPGA architecture is its regular ASIC-like structure. So in the architecture you can see it is similar to the ASIC architecture. In ASIC also there is rows and columns, but there are rows and columns of different logic elements. But in this case we have rows and columns of logic blocks. Logic blocks in itself consist of different elements. Either they consist of flip-flops, decoder, ALU, memories, okay, flip-flops, or then multiplexers are there. So different logic elements are present in the logic blocks. This regular structure makes FPGA useful for all kinds of logic designs, because the arrangement of different logic blocks, the FPGAs can be used for many designs, because different logic blocks are there and you can use them for any type of application.